Hi there, and welcome to our weekly Game of Thrones YouTube show, The Last Night's Watch. This week I'm joined by Gav Murphy and Sam Ashurst, and we'll be chatting all things about episode 3 of Game of Thrones season 4, Breaker of Chains. So this week we have all the regulars. We're going to be talking about the big WTF moment, our best bits, our worst bits. We also have a few of the cast chatting along with us. This week we have Gemma Whelan, who plays Yara Greyjoy, John Bradley, who plays Sam Tarly, and we even have a very special guest in the form of Kate Winslet, who will be telling us whether she watches Game of Thrones or not. First up, I suppose the big thing is picks up straight where episode 2 left off.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen that much in Game of Thrones, so I really like that. It was sort of like, yeah, awesome. Because like they usually come in with like a slow scene at the beginning. It's like, get to what we want to be talking about.
Whereas this is Joffrey bug-eyed on the floor going,
Yeah.
Absolutely. The creators have spoken about how much they love the fact that the books are page turners, and they wanted to get that across a bit more this season.
Oh, nice.
And that really is like that. You know, it sort of cuts straight into the action, and so much happens even in the first sort of minute of this show, like the first 2 minutes of this episode.
I thought that is awesome, and then you see sort of Sansa again taken away. That for me, the bit on the boat is one of the worst scenes I've ever seen in Game of Thrones.
Really?
It was like Pirates of the Caribbean. Like,
Are you kidding?
Instantly from that, this sort of big, bright sort of wedding and all this hubbub, you've got this really slow,
No, I love
like,
that, man.
my only
cliched
thing with it
No,
that I
no,
noticed
no.
was the kind of day to night kind of transition. It was like light, and then she was running down a couple of corridors when it was dark and misty, and I was like,
And then 2 seconds later, you've got what the hell was going on with Littlefinger's accent? Like, I had to go back and watch YouTube clips to make sure. Like, he's never been that Irish. I know Aidan Gillen is very, very Irish.
Yeah.
He's never been that Irish in the show. I was like, I thought he was pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, and he was sort of telling her to shut up because he was like, don't let on that I'm Littlefinger because the people on this boat are not allowed to know that I'm Littlefinger. It was like a cartoon leprechaun.
I loved it, and I think
he's never been that Irish though.
I think he was a little bit more. That's the most stressed we've seen him, so maybe that's the.
so he gets more Irish when he gets more.
No,
stressed.
I didn't notice the Irish thing. I did notice a change in the voice, but I just thought it was purely because he was under pressure. It was pretty intense. But I loved the twist of. I mean, we knew it was coming, but Sedontos getting whacked.
Yeah, that's
and brutal as well, like
line,
straight in the face.
That bit of dialogue where what is it? Money buys a man's secrets, but a bolt to the heart sort of guarantees them, or something like that.
Yeah.
It was just a great line and a great moment, and you know we're not even into the episode yet. You know, there's so much in this season. They're fitting so much in. It's awesome.
Do you reckon Sansa is ever going to get friendly with someone who isn't brutally murdered? She just
That
doesn't
poor
have
girl,
the best run of
man.
luck.
Like, I love that bit where Littlefinger says, "Now I know you've had a bad day." And it's like, yeah, no shit.
You're kidding.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just I sort of wasn't really concentrating on the power of the scene because you had the little leprechaun talking about getting Sansa on the boat. Like, it just, I don't know what. I was just like, are we watching a final version of this? Or?
Like, he can see the Doctor every day. I suppose kind of the main dynamic for me in this episode was the Lannisters and kind of progressing all those dynamics. You had that scene kind of in the crypt, more or less, with Joffrey with his weird stone eyes.
That was weird.
But you had kind of Tywin basically grooming Tommen.
Tommen.
You know?
How old do you reckon that actor is?
Tommen?
Yeah.
14?
14, because, again, in the books, that guy,
the books?
That guy is like 8. Tommen
really
is like 8 years old in the book, so it's even creepier in the book.
It's kind of slightly odd though, because it's such a young character, and because you can see Tywin is basically grooming him so he can control the crown.
Oh yeah, completely.
He comes across as less kind of naive and a bit like just slow.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was actually a bit disappointed with him because obviously, they kept saying to him, "You know what this means now? You're going to be king." And I was like, "Really, this kid? Like, he's got nothing to him, like zero charisma." I was like,
imagine if he was 8.
Yeah.
Like,
there's good 8-year-old actors.
Yeah, some of the kids.
But I don't know. I was just like, that really doesn't look like he's going to have much to him, which I know is obviously the point, and he's going to be controlled and stuff like that.
Yeah, completely.
But then you think like Arya, like from the beginning when you first saw Arya start, even though she's like quite young and sort of timid, there was a bit of spark to her. There's a bit of like really,
But that suits the character, doesn't it?
There's also the actress. You could tell the actress is actually quite good. Whereas this guy was just like,
he could be good.
I don't know. I thought he was okay.
Right. I mean, it's like you say, it's such a different contrast to Joffrey. Immediately, it's like,
exactly.
Okay, so this is someone who's just going to be a pawn, more or less.
There was a nice little sort of switch on his mum though, when when he says wisdom is what a king's needs.
Cersei's like,
no, I thought she was like, I thought it was a bit of pride, and she was like,
really?
Oh, actually, there's more to this kid than I thought. I thought he was a bit great, but actually,
I saw that look as a kind of like, oh my god, Tywin's grooming him. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Oh, I thought she was a bit proud of him. Maybe not then.
Well, that's sweet.
Speaking of which, there was a rather kind of pivotal scene with her and Jaime, which ticked like every inappropriate box in the book. You had incest, you had by the corpse of their dead child.
Yeah.
It was a bit rapey.
Yeah.
Like,
It sort of takes that character back to season 1, where he pushed Bran out of the window, and you kind of see that Cersei brings out his dark side.
Yeah.
I love that, just that one line though. Sorry, I'll come back in a second. But he's like, "You're such a hateful woman, but why has God made me fall in love with you?" It's like, oh, you really get even though he has progressed, he's still just inextricably tied to her.
That's the thing. I think you're right, and I think that's what I was most disappointed about, because they've done this amazing thing where, like a lot of TV shows, where they introduce you to a bastard straight away, then they have this arc for him, which is amazing, and you actually grow to love him. But then to turn around again and have him do this horrible thing, and then it sort of has undone everything, and you sort of feel a bit disappointed, but at the same time, I guess that's a good character.
And what's interesting in the book, again, the book.
We need to get you a T-shirt.
Yeah, in the book. But yeah, no, it is really pertinent, because in the book that scene's a bit more consensual, and it kind of ends with Cersei saying that what they've just done is a bit of folly, and what if the father what if Tywin had walked in on them? So it has a completely sort of different dynamic in the book, and it's a lot nastier on the show.
Obviously, that was quite a dark and traumatic and kind of horrible sex scene, but Game of Thrones is known for its sex scenes. See the transition I'm trying to go for. So we spoke to Gemma Whelan, who plays Yara Greyjoy.
She was awesome.
She was so funny, just lovely, and just really, like obviously in the show, they really kind of dress her down, but beautiful in the flesh.
Yeah.
And basically we said to her, every week we're speaking to the cast and asking them what one scene they would want to see in a Game of Thrones movie. Hers was a sex scene, and a far lighter, more jovial sex scene than the one we just talked about.
Also then getting groped by a brother on a horse, which is the only sex scene she's had in the show at the moment, isn't it?
You actually see her address that now. So over to Gemma.
Do you know what? I'd love a big old sex scene.
Yeah, I think so.
Everyone gets to have sex. My character hasn't had sex yet, and I understand there might have been one last season where I kind of had a big old fight with one of my men, and then suddenly I looked like I'm about to kill him, and then we have sex. That would be fun, wouldn't it? So do something like that. But just to ask George for some sex, I'm sure he'd be amenable.
I think there's a contract.
Not with him. Oh God, I get myself in such trouble in these interviews.
It's quite rare, I think, to see one of the actors actually really want a sex scene. She's like, more, bring it on,
amazing.
bring it on. But preferably not with her brother.
Yes.
Who now technically couldn't, I suppose, even if he wanted to.
Well, you can still grope her on a horse if you wanted to.
Poor Reek. Talking about the Lannisters kind of even more, though, obviously the one we haven't mentioned is Tyrion. Who is stuck in a cell.
40 minutes before we saw Tyrion, I counted every
no
second.
Way, just like,
where's Tyrion? Where's Tyrion? Which, when he's revealed, is actually quite nice then, but very sad.
That whole scene was just so, like, the dynamic between them is so beautiful and just so honest, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just like when he says, like, Pod, this is goodbye. Like, this is farewell. And what does he says to him? Like, there's never been a nobler aid.
More noble squire, I think it is. And I did well up at that point, genuinely. Like, it was just, a beautiful moment, really well performed.
So do we think Pod is out of it now? He's pretty much said, gone, run free. Do you reckon that's it?
I mean, he's going to... but my understanding from that is that Pod was going to sort of be against him in the trial. Because he said, no, you should definitely do that. If you don't do it, they're going to kill you. So you're going to have to be Sir Pod.
I thought he was just saying, just get out of King's Landing, don't be a part of it. But, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't read the books again, but I really hope that the sort of whodunit doesn't stretch throughout the entire series, and it's not like it doesn't become like a courtroom drama.
At the pace this thing's going, like I've got a feeling like an episode, half an episode max, just at the pace that we're going. But who knows?
Yeah.
In regards to talking about pacing and kind of the one moment of the episode that I think kind of ground it to a halt a bit was poor old Sam and the wildling girl, who, he's doing a noble thing, but it was a bit like...
Though even that had a positive, when he takes her away from Castle Black, and there's that really creepy scene with that dude who's like sort of talking to her about a baby. And,
is that dude?
No, it was a woman.
Was it a woman? Whatever it was. Whatever it was.
Apologies to the actor/actress.
Her voice. was just so creepy, and like the look and everything.
I mean, I can't stand Sam. I think and those two people, I don't think particularly good actors. Watching that for me, with their accents, for me, watching that was like watching an episode of Coronation Street, like because of their accents and stuff. And I do not care about that storyline at all. But then at the same time, she didn't actually seem like she was having that bad of a time at that castle. But I know he's obviously saying, I don't know what these men are going to do.
Everyone wants to kind of attack her.
But where he took her to, it wasn't like a safe house or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think everyone does. I don't think everyone does want to attack her. I think that was his paranoia, and he's actually taken her out of a relative. No one's safe in Westeros.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much danger everywhere, but he's taken her out of a relatively safe situation at the moment into sort of a nastier situation.
He's going to leave her there. On. Bye. The other thing that's going on is they know the wildlings are coming, and they know there's going to be a massive attack on them.
That's true.
She's not going to last long, is she?
Yeah.
She's just like
she is a wildling, though.
Around.
She could just hide.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's not talk about the future stuff.
I suppose kind of tying that in, you got the Night's Watch. We spoke to Sam from the Night's Watch, played by John Bradley, who told us which show he would love to see Game of Thrones crossover with. It's a pretty damn good one.
Coronation Street.
It's not Coronation Street.
He's looking for a job after Game of Thrones. That's all he's going to get.
Leave him alone.
No, he was really nice. He had a
really
very good idea.
It's
another HBO classic.
I would love to see, it can't happen because of story reasons, but I'd love to see Tony Soprano get hold of Joffrey. Or Paulie Walnuts get hold of Joffrey, one of those guys, and give him a little talking to. I think that'd be great. Just when you see Tony Soprano lose it, on so many occasions throughout the season, you just think I'd love if he was losing it to somebody I personally don't like. You know what I mean? Brilliant. That'd be perfect.
Another kind of duo that we love to see was the Hound and Arya.
I do love them, but I feel like they always go into taverns or houses, or like I see them sitting by tables quite a lot. Like they're always constantly doing this, and like I love their dynamic, and I do love that. But for me, it's sort of I really do like the Hound. But in episode 2, where he doesn't steal and he says a man's got to have a code, I was like, oh, do you know what? Awesome. They're actually building this guy who is a bit of a horror, but he's got a code. He's got a nobler code. Undone in episode 3 though, because he robs 2 people.
No, I love that, and I love this scene. This whole sequence is brilliant because the message it puts across that you can't trust anyone. Arya is basically, it feels like she's learning lessons along the way. And I love that they had a bit of a talk about the Red Wedding and sort of called it the Red Wedding. And I'm with you in a way. Like I liked that it seemed like they were going to have like a lone wolf and cub dynamic where they go around helping people and getting paid for it, which would be amazing. And there's a spin-off show. But still, the fact that she learned that lesson, I thought was really cool. And I like that he's having so much more to do, the Hound. He used to just deliver one line an episode, and now he's just got loads of speeches.
I think you need to brace yourself for them being quite isolated, though, because I read an interview with him the other day, and he basically said, it's just those two like doing their thing and going along that journey.
That's true, so
I wouldn't expect them to do anything different.
Yeah.
But there was an amazingly stupid, brilliant Photoshop thing that I tweeted the other day, which is basically someone's photoshopped from Kick-Ass, Big Daddy and Hit Girl, but with the Hound and Arya, and it's like, hey, he's teaching.
He is kind of like that,
Other character that we got back in contact with that we didn't see in episode 2 was Daenerys, and I thought I loved that whole scene.
That was so good.
I think the guy who plays Dario, the new
so much
actor,
better than the old one.
He got on our YouTube comments in the first episode. A lot of people were quite annoyed that he'd been replaced and took them out at the moment. For me, this scene, I loved it.
Put him back in, sort of thing.
Yeah, and he was kind of just that perfect mixture of kind of charming and cocky.
I'm getting goosebumps remembering the moment where he turns and winks to her.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
That was so
but I love, even she's a bit like,
it's kind of Indiana Jonesy, even like that sort of level of charisma.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. And I think the guy who plays Dario, I'm looking forward to seeing him a bit more. I do kind of feel like watching, hate to be quite negative all the time, but I do kind of feel like I've seen every single one of these scenes before. Then coming up to another kingdom, them taking all their slaves away. Like, it's good, and I like how they're building it.
What the thing's called where they're lobbing stuff.
It was cool, and it was really interesting work, but it's just
and the scope of it.
I wanted to do something different, other than just taking kingdoms constantly.
No, I don't know. Like, it felt different to me, and just the scope, and it shows how far this show has come. like it really just looked like a movie. Like the huge kingdom, it's the biggest kingdom that they've attacked with the biggest army.
Yeah, no, it's impressive, but is just her attacking another kingdom.
It's interesting you say that because on the first episode, user Jabo on YouTube actually said the same thing. Said Dany's scenes are my least favourite at the moment. Every other storyline is way more interesting. She has a lot of potential, but it's very boring right now. And I think that is always going to be the problem with a character who is basically isolated, because she's over here, everyone else is over here.
Well, it's obviously, I mean, obviously built into something amazing. And what I think is different in this series is they're far more aware of Daenerys in like other places now. You see a lot more references to her rather than just like some woman over there with apparently got some dragon. Now they're saying she's got 3 dragons. Like they know she's got 3 dragons
she's
now.
Coming.
So that they're a lot more aware of her, and I think that is quite good. But at the same time, I needed to do something else. I did like the sort of, just the sort of visuals of seeing like these catapults going and going, what are they firing at them? And then you see all the chains coming in. That was very, very cool. Yeah. But at the same time, do something else.
It's hard to pick a favourite scene because I loved this episode. But I really liked one thing that we haven't talked about yet, which is the wildling invasion.
It's nasty.
It was so dark. And like, you know, it sort of leads in with a couple of people just having quite a boring chat, and I kind of
look... It's awful as well.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, your
talking
mother makes the best potatoes.
Exactly,
oh,
I saw it coming. Like,
and
just like something horrific is going to happen.
As if by magic, Ygritte comes and takes him out, which, like, you know, another
cool,
thing to thank her for. But then it gets super dark with the new wildlings, the Fens. And the bit where the main dude pulls out the little kid.
Oh, I loved it.
And he says, you know, are they your parents? I'm going to eat them. Now chip off to Castle Black and go tell them we're here. I mean, it was so dark, so nasty and awesome.
So nice to see a scene in just broad daylight as well. You know what I mean? Like in a pastoral scene.
Nasty, and I think that was the first time I sort of got a sense of just how in trouble they are from this wildling invasion, because they've you have seen them sort of quietly and they've talked about their numbers and stuff, but then it came back to a thing that Jon Snow has said to them, like, we've got loads of people at Castle Black, and it's like, he thinks we've got loads, so he's coming up here, but then he's going to realize we got none. So we need to attack them now, which is like a sort of awesome little plot device where it's just like, they know they're outnumbered, but they know they're going to even be more outnumbered if they don't attack now. So they're going in sort of under the cosh already.
Well, it's even more than that, because they've left a couple of guys behind, haven't they? And they actually need to go and attack their own men because they have information about the numbers. It's going to get pretty interesting, that plot line.
Okay, and kind of finally wrapping it up, this week we spoke to Kate Winslet, who was promoting her movie Divergent, and we quizzed her on whether she watches Game of Thrones or not. And again, her answer was pretty interesting.
I've never seen it.
No?
No, I really haven't, actually.
What would you say, what was your favourite programme on TV at the moment?
I can answer this question. I can answer this question because I'm loving it so much. I am loving Michael McIntyre's chat show. I want to go on the show. I really do. He's just brilliant, that guy. He's not only is he just the best comedian on the face of the earth, but he really knows how to host. He knows how to do it. He knows how to give great interviews as well. Difficult combination of things to pull off, and he really does. And he's clearly just loving every second of it, and that's always a delight to see. So that's my favourite show.
So she doesn't watch Game of Thrones, but she does watch Michael McIntyre.
Who, for anybody not from the UK, Michael McIntyre is a stand-up comedian who's quite jolly, and now he's running his own chat show. But yeah, wouldn't have thought that would be a perfect fit for Kate Winslet, but she loves it. So all good.
Fair enough.
Nice.
So thank you very much for watching this week. As ever, feel free to comment in the comment section below. We've had some really, really good ones so far, so please keep them coming, and we'll try and feature them in the episodes as we go on. So that's it for episode 3. We'll be back next week to chat about episode 4, and if it's anything like the last 3, it's going to be equally as brilliant.
Yeah, and remember, guys, no spoilers in the comment box, please, and hope you enjoy the show, and we'll see you next week.